I have been married to my wife Emily for 6 years. We met at a friend's wedding, hit it off instantly and started dating not long after. She was charming, thoughtful, funny, the kind of woman who made everyone around her light up. I thought I'd won the jackpot. When I proposed, she cried and said it was the happiest day of her life. I believed her. The first few years were great. We built a small but cozy life together. She worked in marketing, I ran a small home repair business. We weren't rich, but we were stable, happy, and always planning for the next step. A house, maybe kids one day. The only constant presence I never quite got used to was Jake, her so-called best friend. Jake had been around since college. Emily always described him as, basically, a brother. He was at our wedding, helped her move apartments before we married, and texted her constantly. I didn't mind at first, I have female friends too, but Jake was different. He'd text her at odd hours. He'd call her M, a nickname I wasn't even allowed to use because it's his thing. When I once joked about him being her second husband, she gave me this sharp look and said, "Don't be insecure. Jake's family." So I backed off. But little things started adding up. He always seemed to know things before I did, like when she got a promotion or when she had a fight with her sister. When I'd ask how he knew, she'd shrug and say, "Oh, I mentioned it when we were catching up." Then there were the pictures. Every once in a while she'd post old photos of them on social media. Stuff from college like beach trips or nights out. A few were too cozy for just friends. Him with his arm around her waist. Her leaning into him. When I asked, she said I was reading too much into it. So again I let it go. Then one night about 8 months ago everything changed. I was up late working on invoices in the living room. She was asleep in our bedroom, or at least I thought she was. Her phone lit up on the counter. A message from Jake. The preview said, "I still think about that night sometimes." I stared at it. My heart started pounding so loud I could barely hear anything else. I didn't even want to look, but I couldn't stop myself. I picked up the phone. They'd been texting for months. Every day. Mostly casual stuff at first. Memes, updates about work. But as I scrolled back, the tone shifted. The jokes got flirty. Then the messages got emotional. And then about 6 months before, there was this one where Jake said, "I miss you. Sometimes I wonder what life would have been like if things had gone differently." That night I didn't sleep. I waited until morning, until she woke up and came into the kitchen rubbing her eyes, smiling at me like nothing was wrong. I asked her calmly, "What exactly did you and Jake end?" Her face froze. For a second I saw something flash across her eyes. Fear, guilt, maybe both. Then she tried to play dumb. "What are you talking about?" I told her I saw the messages. She turned pale. Then she sat down and said quietly, "You weren't supposed to see that." That sentence broke something in me. You weren't supposed to see that. Not I can explain, not it's not what it looks like. Just pure resignation. That's when she finally admitted it. She and Jake had dated in college. Seriously dated. He was her first everything, as she put it. They broke up when he cheated on her and she swore she'd moved on. But apparently they reconnected years later, right before we got engaged. They never did anything, she claimed, but they'd talked about what could have been. I was furious. "You lied to me," I said. "You made me believe he was just your friend." She said she didn't lie, she just didn't think it was important. I laughed in disbelief. "You didn't think it was important to tell me your best friend is your ex?" She started crying, saying she was afraid I'd make her cut him off, that she didn't want to lose another friend. At that point I couldn't even look at her. I grabbed my jacket and left the house for a few hours. When I came back she was still crying, saying she'd block him and end contact for good. I told her I needed time. For a while I tried to move on. She deleted his number, swore she was done. He went to therapy. We did couples counseling. But something didn't feel right. She was too quiet sometimes, too distant. Her phone was always face down. And I just knew. I couldn't prove it, but I knew. Then a few weeks ago I got my confirmation. Jake posted a picture on Instagram, just a shot of a city skyline from a restaurant. Nothing crazy. But I recognized it instantly. It was the same rooftop bar where Emily and I had gone on our anniversary. Except I hadn't been there recently. The timestamp was from the night Emily told me she was working late. My stomach dropped. I drove to her office the next evening by surprise, just to bring her dinner. Her car wasn't there. Her coworkers said she'd left hours earlier. I didn't even know what to think. I just sat in the parking lot staring at my hands, feeling like the biggest fool alive. Later that night when she got home I asked her directly, "Were you with Jake last night?" Her eyes went wide again, the same look as before. She tried to lie, said she was with a client. But I could see her hands shaking. I told her about the Instagram post. She broke down and admitted it. She'd met him just to talk. She said she needed closure. Closure. That word has never sounded so disgusting to me. I told her I was done. She begged me to stay, said she never meant to hurt me, that she'd been confused and lonely and missed how things used to be. I packed a bag and went to stay with my brother. That was 3 weeks ago. Now I'm sitting here trying to figure out if I can ever trust her again. She keeps texting me saying she's sorry, saying she wants to go to counseling again. Jake apparently has a girlfriend who knows none of this. Part of me wants to expose both of them. Another part of me just wants to disappear and start over. I don't even know if I want revenge or peace anymore. I just know my marriage feels like a lie built on secrets I was never supposed to find out. And the worst part? The more I look back, the more I realize she never stopped loving him. After I left, I thought maybe some time apart would make things clearer. I moved into my brother's spare room, started focusing on work again, and told myself I needed space before deciding anything. But the thing about space is, it gives you time to think. Too much time. The more I thought about it, the worse it felt. It wasn't just that she'd lied. It was that she'd chosen to keep lying again and again even after getting caught once. Every text, every late night at work, every don't worry about it, suddenly looked different in hindsight. He kept reaching out. Calls, messages, long emails about how she made a mistake, and just wanted closure. She said meeting Jake wasn't about romance, that she needed to put the past behind her for real. I didn't respond at first, but after a week of silence I finally agreed to meet her. One last time at a quiet cafe near our house. When I walked in she looked exhausted. No makeup, eyes red like she hadn't slept in days. For a second I almost felt bad. But then I remembered how she'd looked me in the eye and lied about being at work. She started with, "Thank you for meeting me." I said, "Let's just get this over with." She took a deep breath and told me everything. Or at least what she claimed was everything. According to her, after I found the texts months ago, she really did cut Jake off. But then a few months later he reached out again. His mom had died and he just wanted to talk. She said she felt guilty ignoring him, so she agreed to meet. That one meeting turned into a few more conversations, and eventually they got too close. When I asked if she slept with him, she hesitated just a second too long. Then she said, "No, but I kissed him. Once. Just once. Always once." I didn't believe her, not because I wanted to think the worst, but because the timeline didn't add up. You don't risk your marriage over one kiss. I told her I couldn't do this anymore. I couldn't live wondering what else she hadn't told me. I stood up, said I was done, and walked out. That should have been the end. But 2 days later I got a message that blew everything open. It was from a woman named Tara, Jake's girlfriend. She wrote, "Hi, you don't know me, but I think we need to talk. I found your number on Emily's public Facebook. I think my boyfriend has been lying to me, and your wife might be involved." My heart dropped. I called her immediately. She sounded calm, almost too calm, but there was this anger underneath every word. She told me she'd gone through Jake's iCloud backup after noticing some inconsistencies, deleted messages, random gaps in his location history. She found pictures. Pictures of him and Emily together. Nothing too explicit but damning enough. A selfie of them in his car, another of them at that rooftop bar, one of her sitting on his couch holding a glass of wine. All taken within the last 2 months. He sent them to me. I can still remember the way my hands shook as the images loaded. The look on Emily's face, relaxed, smiling, leaning in close, was the same expression she used to have when she looked at me. Tara said she wasn't sure how to confront him yet, but she thought I deserved to know. I thanked her, told her she wasn't crazy, and hung up. That night I printed the photos and went back home. Emily was there, sitting on the couch like she'd been waiting. When she saw the envelope in my hand, her face drained of color. I didn't say a word. I just tossed the photos on the coffee table. She didn't even try to deny it this time. She just started crying, whispering, I'm so sorry," over and over. I asked one question, "Why him?" She said, "Because he understood me." That hurt more than anything. She tried to explain that she never stopped loving me, that she was just confused and nostalgic, that she wanted to see if the connection was still there. It was like listening to a stranger, not the woman I married. I told her I'd be contacting a lawyer. She begged me not to, said we could fix it, said she'd cut all contact and move if she had to. I said, "You already moved, emotionally. I'm just catching up." Then I walked out for good. Over the next week Tara and I kept in touch. She ended things with Jake too, apparently after showing him the same photos. He tried to gaslight her, claiming the pictures were old, but she'd already checked the metadata. Jake ended up losing both of us in the same week. But that wasn't quite enough for me. I wasn't looking for revenge, not really, but I wanted accountability. So I told the truth. I sent screenshots of Emily and Jake's messages to both their families, hers and his. I didn't include the explicit ones, just enough to show what had happened. I didn't add commentary, just a simple message. I thought you all deserved to know the truth. Her mom called me the next day sobbing, saying she couldn't believe it. Jake's girlfriend's family apparently made him move out. And Emily? She sent me a long message a few days later. "You didn't have to ruin my reputation." That was the moment I realized she still didn't get it. It wasn't about her reputation. It was about my reality. A week after that she signed the divorce papers. I didn't even feel relief. Just emptiness. Months have passed now. I'm still in my brother's spare room, but I've started to rebuild. I focus on work, go to the gym, sometimes grab a beer with coworkers. I even went on a few dates, though nothing serious yet. Every once in a while I'll see one of Emily's old posts pop up in my feed. She's moved to another city apparently. New job, new haircut. He looks different, lighter. Maybe she's happy. Maybe I am too in my own way. But here's the truth I've learned through all of this. Secrets rot relationships from the inside out. even the ones told to protect someone. Especially those. She thought hiding her past with Jake would spare me pain. All it did was delay the explosion. I still don't know if what she and Jake had was love or just nostalgia, but either way it wasn't us. And sometimes, you have to accept that the person you fell in love with isn't the same person who's standing in front of you years later.